Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. We start today's video with a woman who had a mother-in-law that loved tearing people down just for sport. But when the criticism turned personal, she found the perfect way to fight back. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The pettiest revenge I've ever gotten on my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law loves to nitpick. She thrives on it the way normal people enjoy dessert. If you've crossed paths with her even once, friend, family, coworker, or just someone who goes to the same church, she's dissected your life behind your back. Every detail becomes ammunition, and for years I put up with it. At first it was tolerable. She'd gripe about small things, someone's haircut, the way a neighbor decorated their lawn, a church lady's tacky casserole, but it escalated. She started targeting people closer to me, my husband, my friends, even strangers who had the audacity to simply exist in her orbit. And then she made the mistake of going after me. One day she tossed out a casual comment about my weight. She said at the weight some people comment on the weather, except with a smirk that made it clear she was just being mean for sport. That's when I realized she didn't say these things because she thought she was helping. No, she enjoyed tearing people down. It was a game for her. I decided to start my own game. It began harmlessly. I saw an ad for better health therapy and thought, maybe she could use some counseling. So I subscribed her email address to the mailing list. Maybe if she stumbled across different therapy ads, she might reflect on her behavior. A gentle nudge, right? But after the weight comment, I escalated. I signed her up for Noom and Weight Watchers newsletters. If she was going to obsess about other people's health and bodies, then she could wade through the endless diet emails every morning. But why stop there? I added every fast food chain within a 15-mile radius to the list. McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, you name it. Now her inbox would be filled with mixed signals. Diet guilt trips followed by coupons for quarter pounders and milkshakes. She didn't stop. She criticized my sister-in-law's clothing, lecturing her about being more modest. She tried to shame my husband for playing video games, insisting he was wasting time and money, even though we budget responsibly and balance hobbies with work. She went after my friends, claiming they weren't doing enough with their lives, blissfully unaware that they were juggling full-time jobs, higher education, and sick relatives. So I kept going. If she thought video games were such a problem, I subscribed her to newsletters from Xbox, Blizzard, Nintendo, and every gaming company I could think of. If she was so hung up on people's life paths, she could start getting emails from universities and community colleges. Earn your master's degree in accounting in just 12 months. Ding. Thinking about law school? Ding. Your child deserves a brighter future with our online courses. Ding. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing at first, but I admit every time she'd start in on someone, mocking, judging, just being honest, I'd sit there quietly knowing that her inbox was a battlefield of diet ads, fast food coupons, college brochures, and sex toy promotions. If she wanted to spend her time nitpicking others, she could also spend her evenings deleting spam about finding your path and unlocking your inner goddess. It wasn't revenge in the loud dramatic sense. It was subtle, petty, deliciously petty, and in a way poetic. Because if she was going to insist on inserting herself into everyone else's business, then I was going to make sure that, at least in her inbox, everyone else's business inserted itself right back. Since she made comments about clothing not being modest enough, maybe you should subscribe her to a bunch of lingerie websites. Bonus points for ones that are especially scandalous. And our second story. You want strict rules? Enjoy every second of them. This happened to me a while back, but just came back to me. I used to work for an armored car company, something I did for a few years when I was in university and waiting for a position in what would be my future career. It was good money, and lots of people did it as their full-time jobs, but I wanted more out of life than a mindless job. Because I was classified as part-time, I didn't have a set shift. I mostly covered for people when they were sick, took vacation, worked unscheduled shifts, or worked shifts created specifically for part-timers. All in all, I was working full-time hours almost every week. Most of the full-timers loved working with me. The way the company worked, you were set for a 13-hour shift. However, if you managed to complete your run in less than that, you'd still get paid the full shift. I was young, moved fast, and didn't care about breaks if it meant I could get paid for 3 to 4 hours to sit at home instead of working. So whenever I took over for someone older who was just on autopilot, I could get their coworker home in a fraction of the time. One of the full-time workers, a real Karen, let's call him Kyle, was just the worst. For some reason, he took it upon himself to tattle on people for anything that he didn't like. If someone wasn't wearing their collared shirt under their sweater, run to tell management. FYI, working in the summer heat in a literal metal box wearing a bulletproof vest makes you want to shed layers. Someone wearing black instead of blue pants tells management. Someone wearing a company hat that has the company logo but is not official uniform tells management. No one in the company liked Kyle. Well, one week, Kyle's coworker has taken vacation and my boss schedules me to replace him. The run's pretty easy. It's commercial day shift, so 90% of the stops are retail stores with less than a few $100 in cash. Because of the amount of money, no one has ever had a problem with one person jumping out and running in, grabbing the money, and coming back while the second person, usually the driver, stays with the truck. In this shift, I was the driver, so that's what I did. When Kyle was in the store, I would just navigate my phone, look at the people in the area, make sure there were no threats, make sure I wasn't parked in anyone's way, mostly wasting time. Well, one stop, Kyle came back and I was just finishing up writing an email. Apparently, Kyle wasn't too happy with me taking a few extra seconds to start going. Unbeknownst to me, he took a picture of me behind the wheel on my phone. I had no idea until the next shift came the next day where management came to talk to me about texting and driving. I told them I had no idea what they were talking about, and my manager just said that he had proof that I was doing it, and if I did it again, I would be written up. I went to talk to another coworker who's also the union rep to figure out what the hell was going on, and he told me Kyle took a picture of me yesterday and complained that I was doing it. I was pissed. Cue malicious compliance. My shifts with Kyle were 3 13-hour shifts, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, today was now Thursday, our last shift of this run, and this shift was not retail pickups. It was the run that takes all the money collected from the previous week and brings it to our provincial depot about 400 kilometers away. The entire run only has about 30 minutes of work and about 9 hours of driving. If you did the math, this is one of those runs where if you get it done quickly, if traffic's on your side, you can get paid for a lot of unworked time. It was also the last shift of the week, which meant a long, gorgeous weekend in the middle of summer as soon as we were done. Well, I was going to make sure this shift lasted as long as possible. If he didn't want me to break any rules, I'd make sure I obliged. I drove exactly the speed limit the entire way. I even stopped for our 1-hour lunch break, which is given to us, but I'd not witnessed anyone take it in the years I'd been here because of the rules we had about pay. In fact, we were so behind, we reached the major city our depot was located in right at rush hour, something our early start time was designed to prevent. All in all, what should have taken about 9 hours to do ended up taking 14, an extra 5 hours where he just had to sit there and watch me in silence. To make things sweeter, a few times during the shift, he had to call his wife and let her know he wouldn't be home early enough to go to the cottage, and they'd have to leave the next day instead. I heard from other workers how furious he was and how I'd ruined his plans for the weekend, and all I could do was smile. To clarify, where I live, going 15 to 20 kilometers an hour above the speed limit is standard. Going the speed limit will just get someone smashing into your rear bumper. Also, our trucks have a max speed of 105 kilometers an hour, and most of the drive is either 80 kilometers an hour or 100 kilometers an hour. And our last story. I got assaulted for not serving a sandwich fast enough. I used to spend lunch breaks at this little pub in town, cozy spot, good food. They had a shuffleboard table where I'd kill some time while eating. The staff were always friendly, but the place was small enough that if it got busy, things could spiral fast. One Friday, it was slammed, bar packed, dining tables filling, and only one bartender running the show. I knew her personally and could tell she was drowning, so I offered to help. Need me to run anything out? I asked. She smiled in relief, pointed to a tray. Yeah, corner table, thanks. I grabbed the tray, dropped the food at the table, and that's when Karen made her entrance into my day. She squinted at me with that haircut that screams, "I demand a manager." Karen, "I've never seen it take this long for me to get a damn sandwich." Me, "Sorry about that, hun. She's swamped at the bar tonight." Karen, "Oh, I know she's swamped, and yet you're just sitting at the shuffleboard table stuffing your face while your employee drowns. What kind of manager are you?" It took me a second to realize my button-up shirt must have made me look like management. I tried to clarify. Me, "Oh, I don't work here." Karen, "Don't you lie to me. I'm calling the owner right now." She whipped out her phone before I could finish. Every time I tried to explain, she cut me off with a glare or a middle finger. So I shrugged, walked back to the bar, and told my friend. My friend groaned. "That's Sandra." We'll call her Karen anyway. "Comes in every other day, causes chaos, then calls my boss directly. He usually just comps her food to shut her up." As a manager myself, at my real job, I knew what that meant. If you reward bad behavior, you guarantee more of it. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, Karen stormed up to me again. "Karen, I told the owner you were sitting here playing games instead of working. He's coming to fire you personally." Me, "That'll be tricky since I don't work here, you dumb butt." Her face went crimson. She slapped me hard, then screeched, "I'll ruin your whole life, you piece of filth." When she raised her hand for round 2, I caught her wrist, twisted it behind her back, and swept her feet out. She hit her knees, locked in a hold I knew well from martial arts. The pub went silent. Every head turned. Friend, "Jeez, are you okay?" Karen, shrieking, "He attacked me! He's assaulting me! I'll have him arrested!" Me, "Funny, you were the one swinging." I asked my friend to grab some zip ties. A few seconds later, Karen had her wrists bound, fuming like a kettle. That's when the pub's actual owner walked in. Owner, "What the hell's going on?" Karen, "Your manager attacked me. I'm suing both of you for everything you've got." Owner glanced at me, then back at her. "Lady, he's not my manager. He doesn't even work here." Her face drained of color. She sputtered, but stayed quiet this time. Not long after the police arrived, I laid out everything. Her slapping me, the false claims, the staff who could back me up, plus the owner confirming I wasn't even employed there. Karen tried denying it, but half the pub had seen her strike me. Officer, "Do you want to press charges?" Me, "Gladly." They hauled her out, kicking and screaming all the way. The pub went back to normal, except now my burger was cold. Still, it tasted just fine while watching Karen get stuffed into the back of a squad car. She never came back. That's the kind of story where the regulars will still be chuckling years later, telling new customers, "Oh yeah, you missed the night Sandra slapped a guy who didn't even work here and got herself arrested." Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.